Okay, we sound so cool.
We sound good, don't we?
Super professional.
So, this is Jonathan, and hello, Andrea.
Hi.
We were just discussing how this is really a new thought experiment for us both, and we're calling it TinderLand.
TinderLand, I think, is a good name for the podcast.
I think so. So, welcome to TinderLand. We're going to explore Andrea's ups and downs of finding and losing love, the successes and fails of dating app adventures.
Mostly failures, but that's why I'm still here.
That's right. And fearless pursuits of romance. And through the eyes of someone who I'd say navigates her world often serendipitously through her passions and whims. So be it for better or worse, right?
Yeah, pretty much my heart guides me, and my lust sometimes.
Indeed. But not afraid of taking chances.
No, I am not afraid of taking any chances.
So today, just to set the scene, we're both mid-30s suburbanite professionals, but coming from very different backgrounds.
That's right.
And I think in lieu of any lengthy introduction, we're just going to jump right into current events and work backwards to tie things together.
Yeah, and I think people will find out things as they come along. That's
Yep.
for sure. But we are in our mid-30s,
That's right.
and I'm still dating.
That's right.
That's what-
Actively.
Actively,
Yeah.
yes.
So is it okay if we start on Ice Princess?
Yes, let's start with Ice Princess.
All right. So just bring us through to today. Who is she, and how did you come to this point with this mysterious Ice Princess?
So, Ice Princess came into my life via Tinder, like everybody else does. I went through this hard breakup this year with the Philly girl. And then I had this idea of there's this feature on Tinder that's called Tinder Passport. And basically what it is you're able to swipe from any location on different countries, right? Because Tinder usually uses your location, and then you can set a couple kilometers of distance, and then you see people who are single around you. With Tinder Passport, what happens is that you're able to swipe at different locations. So I thought it was a good idea to swipe in Iceland because I thought, there are hot girls in Iceland.
And so are you picking the location you're seeking, or did it come to you randomly?
It came to me thinking that there should be hot girls in Iceland. That's how it came to me.
I see. Because you've been there before.
Because I went there in 2017 with an ex.
Yeah, got it.
And so that came to mind because I remember that there are a lot of good-looking people in Iceland. So I thought, hey, what a cool place to meet a hot chick.
Well, in the world of dating, the goal is ultimately to meet them in person. So you're talking about some really speculative long-distance dating.
Yeah, so what came to mind is I can just travel, which is something I like to do. I like to travel. And I can also, maybe fall in love, get laid at the least. So I thought I would unite the two, which is my passion to travel, and then my passion for women, sometimes men, I guess.
Combining your passions.
Combining my passions. I thought that was a good idea to get over the breakup.
Serendipity ensues.
Yes.
So how do you, when your only means of communicating is basically through the app or texting, I mean, you can talk by voice as well, but how do you keep the interest alive? What are the gestures that differentiate one day for another when you're trying to build someone's interest that you've never met, just through the app, and with the expectation of you're going to buy a plane ticket and fly out to see them?
Yeah, so what I thought at first was that maybe I'll travel somewhere. I'll meet somebody beforehand, and then I'll buy a ticket and go there if the person is cool. But with the Ice Princess, for instance, I just started talking to her. And she was very pretty and very outgoing. She showed interest. And I think I also told her that I didn't live there, so the person also knows that you're not local,
Okay.
that you're coming to visit for, you don't go into anything assuming that this is going to be a long-term relationship.
So was she surprised that you were reaching out?
So what I told her was this, that I was going to go for my birthday, which is coming up, which I'm still going for my birthday. And I said I wanted to meet people beforehand. So I have somebody to hang out with, spend some time, and, get to know somebody local.
Good angle. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started talking with her, and she was really nice. And, of course, me being myself, I already started to like her because, I just like people very easily, I think. So I started to like her, and then I told her, there's still 2 months before I even come to Iceland, and I was like, I really want to get to know you. And she was like, yeah, that would be nice. And I was like, okay, what if I buy a plane ticket and I come this weekend? And then she was like, excited, and also like, I can't believe somebody would do that.
Yeah, it's pretty scary, right?
It's pretty, for her, yeah. For me, it's all part of the fun.
That's what you're living for.
That's what I live for. So then she was like, yeah, if you buy a ticket, you can come hang out, you can stay at my place. So I was like, okay, let me see a moment. So then I went and bought the ticket. And then I basically saw her that weekend. And then I flew out to Iceland for the weekend to meet somebody that I met on Tinder.
Got it.
Yeah, that was a little nerve-wracking and exciting because, I thought that she was hot and I was going to meet somebody, but I was also nervous because I was going to stay at her place. But, if something happened, I can always just get a hotel or something. That's what I thought.
Well, and maybe if you waited the 2 months and only went on your birthday and you'd had 2 months to keep things going via text, I don't know how that would turn out in
No, you
comparison.
cannot keep somebody interest for 2 months just via text. And if you can, that's a red flag, right? Because the person is very needy.
Too available.
You're too available. We are picky. We don't want somebody that's too available.
So that was a pretty good move, just spontaneously flying out there. That probably surprised her and won you a lot of points.
Yeah, my friend Marcella, she says that she would be very flattered if somebody flew from another country just to see her. I don't know how she felt. I think she felt good. I mean, I would feel good too if somebody say, hey, I'm flying from Iceland. I want to come see you this weekend. I mean, that would really make me feel really good.
Well, it removed the anticipation, that period of anticipation that can make things go cold or
yeah, and I also
weird.
wanted to see if there was chemistry, right? Like if I'm gonna be texting this person maybe to spend some more time during my birthday, I would like to see if there's anything because I really don't want to waste time. But when I got there, it was great. Like we had a great time, and then of course, I already fell in love. I wouldn't say love, but like I'm infatuated.
I think we understand there are different colors to the word based on how it's used.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the moral is, when in doubt, fly to Iceland.
I always do things. I don't have any regrets of not doing anything because I usually do everything.
Well, there are risks there, right? I mean, you can end up, by some unfortunate events, an unwanted guest, or things can go cold, like I said before.
It could get weird. You know how things get weird on dates. You meet the person because online, what happens a lot in Tinder is that people present themselves in a way that they're not. So you go meet them in person, and then they look totally different, or they're not as exciting.
Right.
So it's a different thing. But she was very cool. I mean, she was. I mean, I'm still talking to her, so.
Well, and you and I were sitting on the beach that day recently when you had a long conversation with her, which was a bit of a milestone moment, I think, in you getting to know her. You'd already been out there once.
Yeah, because at that point, I already been out there once.
Right. The conversation that day was a bit of a milestone. What was that about? What was the anticipation around?
So basically, she has some plans of moving to another country because she got some kind of scholarship to go study to get a master's degree of some sort before she met me. And and this country is twice as far, I would say. So it's not like, because right now I live in Philadelphia. So I can just, if I want to go to Iceland, I get on a plane. I'm there in 5 hours. It's not super expensive. But then if I start liking this girl, right, which I already do, then if she's moving to a country that's 10 hours flying, like another continent, then that makes things very difficult. Because I could see myself dating this girl because she's very awesome. She's very cool, very stylish, beautiful, like very loving. But then I don't want to fall in love with somebody who's not going to be around, right? I mean, I can work the long distance thing. I've done that before. I've dated the Hawaiian girl in Hawaii. We did long distance for a while, but what I cannot do is just date somebody who, is in Asia or something, for instance. That's very far from here. I really don't want to do that. I would prefer to keep it European, even though it's still 8 hours, but it's easier to get to.
It's it's logistically more possible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing this because there are no cool women in Philadelphia or Atlanta or anywhere. Apparently, I can only like people when they're abroad.
I see. Well, you like the unobtainable too. You like the challenge.
I like the
anyway.
challenge. I enjoyed the adventure. I think part of what's thrilling for me, it's the traveling and the excitement and the talking long distance and overcoming things. I think that's part of the romance for me. I really enjoyed that. And I torture myself. I really shouldn't do that.
Got it. Okay, so zooming out on our timeline for a moment, leaving Ice Princess aside for now, how long since you left here for Philadelphia?
So I left, I used to live in Atlanta, which is a city that I really love still, just despite the traffic. I moved to Philadelphia in August of last year because I met this Philadelphia girl on Tinder. And we started hooking up. She flew here, I flew there. We kind of kept long distance again.
Right.
So then I eventually decided to move to Philadelphia in August. So I've been in Philly since August of last year.
Okay, got it. So about a year. And let's think about the last, 3 or 4 years. How many countries would you say you've traveled to?
The last 3 or 4 years?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So many. I think maybe 8 countries. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, I do enjoy the traveling, especially when I work for Delta. I traveled a lot.
That's right. Yeah, I wanted to talk about that. In your lifetime, how many countries would you say you've lived in?
I think I've only lived in the U.S. and Brazil.
Got it.
Yeah.
You'd almost, at least Hawaii is an honorable mention. Anyway, it's
Yeah,
almost another country.
Yeah, Hawaii is almost another country. That was wonderful. Wonderful 2 years that I was there.
I bet.
Yeah.
Now, did you not live in Spain for a moment?
No, I did not, but I should.
You should, right?
Yeah.
You get in too much trouble out there.
I know. I'd be too promiscuous in Spain.
Right.
I have too much fun. There is such a thing as too much fun. This is what's happening to me in Atlanta the past 2 weeks. I'm having too much fun. I need to drive myself back to Philadelphia.
And so you mentioned your time at the airline. And so in those recent years, working for the airline played a huge role in your ability to jet set around, right?
Yeah, I traveled a lot, but I was in a very serious relationship, some would call marriage, right?
I think they call it marriage.
Yeah,
yes.
I think that's what the state of New York calls it too, where we got married.
Indeed.
Even though maybe in my head it's not like that so much. It wasn't so serious, but it is. But I was married, right, with the actress, and yeah, basically, we had a good time traveling. We made a lot of friends. She was very outgoing. She's a beautiful woman too, so a lot of people.
She's so sweet.
She's very
She's
sweet.
such a sweetheart.
Very sweetheart, very good person. It just didn't work out.
Right.
I guess. So yeah, basically, I guess if I'm talking about the actress, my ex-wife, I was with her for almost 5 years, and I went to Philadelphia, and I was feeling very unhappy, And my friend just said, hey, why don't you get on Tinder? And you're going to go on a shitty date, and then you're going to go back home loving your wife. And then I said, yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
That's the devil speaking on your shoulder,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So I downloaded Tinder while the actress, my ex-wife, we were not traveling together this weekend. She was out in a work conference. So I got on Tinder, and I had fully hoped that I was going to go on a shitty date. And that was it. But I ended up, meeting Philly girl.
Mm-hmm.
We messaged. I told her I was going to go out with her on Saturday. I ditched her. Then I made plans for brunch. Then I ditched her. And then finally I said, hey, let's get a drink tonight. That was Sunday because I was fly back to Atlanta on Monday, right? And she said, no, I don't want to meet up with you. You already made plans with me and you canceled. And I was like, no, let's meet up. It's going to be fun. So eventually she agreed to meet up. We went to get a drink. She was very beautiful in person. I was like highly attracted to her. So we got a drink. She asked me a couple questions, asked me if I was married. And I said no.
She knew to ask that question?
Yeah, I had a ring on too, and I said no.
Okay.
But it was a silver ring, I guess. I don't know. It could be anything. And then she thought it was weird. She mentioned to me later that I didn't ask her if she was married. She was like, how come you didn't ask me if I was married? Because I said, because I don't care. Because essentially it doesn't matter, right? You're out on a date with me.
Right.
And then she said that, yeah, I always thought that was weird. And I was like, yeah, it was weird because I was married. So I went out with her. I didn't tell her that I was married. She invited me over for a joint and an additional drink at her house, and I will never turn down any joint. So we get there, hang out. She comes up with this line of that I use now. I have a couple lines that work for me.
Nice.
According to Marcella. But she asked me if I smoked, and I said, no, I don't smoke. I don't smoke any cigarettes. And then she's like, you smell like smoke. And I was like, really? And then she was like, yeah, let me smell you closer. So then she started smelling my neck, and I was like, no, I don't smoke. And she's like, oh, you smell so good. And then she kissed me, and then I was like, oh, fuck. Then I completely forgot that I was married for like maybe 6 hours. And then one thing led to another. We ended up hooking up. So then I come back. Also, I bought the wrong plane ticket when I was there. I was checking in to the flight to come back to Atlanta, and then she said, hey, how come the flight says Atlanta to Philadelphia? And I said, no, it says Philadelphia to Atlanta. She was like, no, it doesn't. So I go look at the ticket, and I bought the fucking wrong ticket. So at 3 a.m, cheating on my ex-wife, poor thing, I'm buying a plane ticket to fly back home because I bought the wrong plane ticket because I was stoned when I bought the ticket.
Of course.
So I bought the ticket at 3 a.m, checked in, got on a flight at 6 a.m. Immediately, as soon as I landed, I messaged Marcella and everybody, and I said, hey, I really need to talk to you. I'm very confused. Can you meet me for lunch? And then Julia and Marcella came, and then I told them what happened. I said, hey, I was in Philadelphia. I went on a date. It was supposed to be shitty, and I had such a good time, and I just feel very alive, and I don't think I should be married to.
And so you're coming back to Atlanta, and you have a lot to get off your chest.
Yeah, so imagine I was with this married to the actress for a year and something. And been together for almost 5 years at that point. We had a very difficult year in 2017. And I was questioning everything that I was, right? Because I was this person with her. I was building my life. And then out of nowhere, I go to Philadelphia. I meet Philly girl, and then everything just changes. I just felt alive, and I felt great. And I didn't feel depressed, and I didn't feel sad. All those things that I was feeling. So when I arrived in Atlanta, I immediately texted Marcella and Julia, and I said, can you guys meet up today? I need to talk today. I said, there's something that happened. I need to get off my chest. So I go to Marcella's house on a Monday during my lunch break. And then I told her, hey, I was in Philadelphia. I was feeling unhappy. I got on Tinder and I hooked up with this girl from Philly, and I don't know if I'm gonna be with her because she lives in Philadelphia. At that point, that didn't even cross my head. The only thought that crossed my head was that I was not happy. Like, how can I be happy with somebody that I hardly know for a few hours and be so unhappy in my real life? So then I told them that I was going to get a divorce, and they said, you're crazy. How can you do that? How can you go to Philadelphia, hook up with the girl, and now all of a sudden you're getting divorced? I say, yeah, because I cannot live a lie, right? This is a lie, what I'm living.
It was a pivotal moment in your life, right? I mean, you ultimately decided to leave your marriage behind, and it's heavy, it's painful, and you knew you wouldn't make it out completely blameless, right?
Yeah, and I think also cheating is a cheapskate because I should have broken up. But that's just the lazy way of breaking up, right? You cheat on somebody, and then it's like you don't have to deal with it. You just tell them, hey, I cheated on you, and then things just sort of happen. But it's a coward way. The way I handled things was not very nice.
Right, right.
I definitely could have handled better. But yeah, I basically came home, talked to the actress. She obviously was crying, very unhappy. We tried to work things out, but in my mind, it was already done. So then Philly girl messages me and says, hey, I have a ticket that I didn't use. I want to come see you in Atlanta. And I didn't tell Philly girl that I was married. So then I told her, I don't really have a house right now. I have a lot going on in my life. I'm crashing on my friend's couch because at that point I had a property that I own with my ex, the actress. And obviously I'm not gonna bring this girl who I hardly know to stay with me in a house that I share. That's just not gonna happen.
It's not a good look either.
So then she immediately thought that I was being shady, which I was. Super shady. And then I told her, but if you come and you get an Airbnb, I'll stay with you. I said I can even get an Airbnb if you come, but I just don't have a place. I'm like, I'm so sorry. She thought that was sketchy, but she still came. So she came to Atlanta, and then I was worried about running into the actress, right? The whole time I'm like, oh my God, I hope we don't run into my ex. But we had a good time. She came. It was very sexual, very, very lustful. And then, so I basically broke up with the actress, asked for a divorce, I should say. And I started flying to Philly because at that point I was working as an engineer and I could work remote a few days a week. Not many, at least 2 days I could pull it off. So then I told her, yeah, I can just come to Philly. So then I started flying to Philly to see her every other weekend. So I saw her a couple times a month, and it got very intense.
Let me ask a personal question first. So, and maybe think on this a second. What was the bigger factor? I mean, your relationship had been deteriorating for a moment with the actress, with your ex-wife, and you meet Philly girl around the same time.
Right.
So do you think that you would have decided to leave the marriage if you hadn't met Philly girl right then?
I think I would have left it at some point throughout the year, yes. I don't think that would have gone on because I was very unhappy. I mean, we were very unhappy.
Yeah. Things were coming to a head regardless.
Yes, definitely, I think.
And I think you already owned up to the fact it was an easy out for you. It was
Yeah, I took the lazy
right.
asshole way out, right? Is you cheat on somebody because that's how you break up with people.
Right.
I mean, that's how fucked up people break up with people. Most people have conversations, but I guess I'm not grown up enough to do that.
Not yet, anyway. We'll try.
We try. We'll keep hoping.
So, on Philly girl, and you hit limits in dating, and Philly girl turned out to be a bit of a surprise as yes. Time went on.
I would say that, but I was very blind. She did give enough signs, but I guess when I'm in love, I just disregard everything. I'm not very logical.
What are the typical limits or boundaries or tensions you run into in your dating relationships that cause them to to fall apart? You know, what are the things that usually repel you from somebody?
I think is if I feel that the person is not interested in me or doesn't have my back. That's number one. Or not, they don't have to be number, but I guess that's how I break up with people. Another way is if I feel that I don't have personal space, then I'm not being my true self, right? I can be smothered. That was the case with the actress. Is that she really loved me. She was really nice to me, but I felt smothered, right? I felt like I couldn't be my own person.
Right.
That's also another thing. And if somebody's not attracted to me anymore, then that's also a turn off. Like I have to feel that the person wants me. In that way, I'm very sexual, I guess. Like, so the fire has to always be there. And I don't know if that's something reasonable to even ask, because
It's not something you can build on your own. They have to be an eager participant as well.
Yes, precisely.
Got it. And so I would say with Philly Girl, maybe, I mean, you were prepared for those sort of obstacles, limits that you might hit. But then with Philly Girl, you ran into a whole sort of different set of limitations or red
This
flags.
is how in love and dumb I was, I'll tell you.
Okay.
Because this story is crazy. So a Philly girl says, hey, let's date a guy because you're bisexual, and that makes sense, right? If you're with me, you're always going to be bored. But if you date a guy and I date the same guy, then it's something that can work for life. And then for whatever reason, I thought that was a good idea, right? I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I can date a guy and she can date the same guy. But what I didn't have in mind is that the whole relationship was going to be divided among 3 people, right? And I was not okay with that. I thought that if it was just me and her and then we bring some guy in, but the guy has no say in a relationship because he's fucking 2 girls, like I don't think you should have any more say than that. You're already lucky. But she didn't want that. She wanted the guy to have the same weight in decision making as I had, and I was not okay with that.
Well, the theme with her that comes up is she was very much into controlling people.
Yeah, she likes to control people and make people. I think that's what she's into. Maybe have some puppets to play around. I think that's
Right.
part of her sex drive, part of what fulfills her.
So her exes are a stable of people she already knows where the buttons and levers are. To
Yeah, and I also
manipulate.
thought it was weird she has no friends. I thought that was super weird. I'm like, from now on, that's a red flag to me. If I meet somebody and they're kind of a loner, that's not something I really want anymore. But
makes
then,
sense.
if they're too hot, then I cannot help it.
Right. Well, and you ventured pretty deep into her web, and like you said, you ultimately.
Yeah, I let her do whatever. I basically let her be the boss. I'm like, yeah, you want to get a guy, get a guy. But I had a very shitty year. I was very, with a lot of jealousy because I don't like sharing. This is why open relationship, polyamorous kind of thing, that may not work for me because I get jealous. I don't want to share anything. I want it to be all for myself.
Right. Well, and then you think it's just going to be fun, and then you end up running into this grand design of her idyllic, polyamorous domestic situation.
And let me tell you, polyamory, that requires a lot of conversation. I don't know how people do it. It's a lot more work than a regular relationship. It's like, yeah, okay, you get to fuck other people, and it can be fun. But, what comes with that is a lot of talking because you're open about who you're fucking. So it requires a lot of conversation and trust, and I just didn't trust her. I've never trusted her. I never introduced the Philly girl to my parents. I mean, I'm not gonna say that I'm gay. I consider myself bisexual, but I don't think I can fall in love with a guy. That's a whole nother subject for a whole nother time. But I just never introduced her, right? Because deep down inside, I knew that that something wasn't gonna work out or something was off.
Right. And then you began getting the sense of being manipulated, losing some control, right?
Yeah, I had no control, and I did not enjoy that. And then towards the end, we dated this other guy. I'm not sure how I will call him. Crazy hair guy, I guess I can call him that. So we dated this other guy, and yeah, it just didn't work out because she wanted him to have the same amount of weight in saying in the relationship, and I was just done with it. And then after a few arguments, I find out that she's been recording me. She has been recording me, which we were Googling yesterday. I don't know why that came up. It's totally illegal to do that.
Right.
But she was recording my conversations that I had in private with her and then sharing it with this guy.
Was she recording on the phone and in person, or just one or the other?
On her phone when I talked to her in person, without telling me.
Okay.
She was recording
not your
me.
phone conversations, but...
According to her, she was recording me because she would want to listen to the argument later so she would understand my side.
Uh-huh.
But then she shared what I said to her in private with this guy. And I was talking a lot of shit about this guy because, I was very angry. I said that he wasn't a provider, that he wasn't a man. Like, why am I going to be with a guy that doesn't do anything? That's crazy. I was like, we need to date somebody else. And she was not down with that. So all this shit that I said about this guy, which were very heavy things because I was very angry, she showed it to him. And of course, the guy doesn't want to talk to me anymore. And I'm like, why is the guy so angry? So then she tells me 3 weeks later, hey, it's because I've been recording you. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you record me and send to other people and like not tell me that you're recording me? And she's like, oh, because I wanted to listen to the conversation. I'm like, you know how crazy do you sound? Like, that's not cool at all.
Right.
So then I told her, thank you. I finally reached my limit. I have a limit.
There you
That
go.
was when I dipped out. I was just like, I'm done with this shit. So
Right.
then I got on Tinder again.
Just like flipping a switch.
Yeah, basically, I told her, thank you for helping me find my limit. This is something that's not acceptable to me, and I'm just done. And at that time, I still had hopes that she would change and be with me. I was very stupid. And then I got on Tinder, and then I went on like 7 dates in Philadelphia, all terrible. But I took myself out, and then I was reading on Tinder the different features that they have, because you can only like so many people. And dislike, I'm not really sure how it works. So you have a limit. So then I was reading, and then it says Tinder passport. And I'm like, oh my God, I can travel and hook up with people. This is genius. So then it came the idea, yeah, why don't I sign up for Tinder passport and I can swipe on different places? So then I started, I think it's like extra $10 or $20. And then I thought, oh, where should I go for vacation, hook up with a girl, right? So I thought, Iceland. Iceland has a lot of hot girls. So I was like, I'll definitely get somebody hot. And that's how I ended up meeting Ice Princess.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and it sounds like, there were some very clear red flags and warning signs with Philly Girl. Tying it into more generally how you approach relationships or the end of them. We talk about your limits. Do you feel like you prefer maintaining a sense of control? And in that case, you sort of started to lose control?
I think everybody likes control. I like to know what's going to happen. But most of all, I like loyalty. If I feel that the person is not loyal, then I want nothing to do with that.
Right.
And I just didn't feel that she had my back.
She was loyal to herself.
She's loyal to her own self. She's a good human being, right?
Sure.
I don't know. Sometimes I think she is, and then sometimes I don't think she is. But she had a very complex childhood and the way she was brought up. But yeah, I just don't want anything to do with her because she didn't have my back. She only has her own interest. And that's okay. She can be her own self. It's just not for me.
Right. No, that makes sense. Makes sense. And so you've flown to Iceland. You've flown to Philly and stayed there for a year, all on Tinder leads.
Tinder leads, yeah.
Right.
My life has been guided by Tinder since 2018. This is terrible. Well,
but you're putting yourself out there more than most, and I think a lot of people would be encouraged or inspired by that. That you're not afraid to do that, and
I'm not afraid of falling in love or being heartbroken.
Right, and that's a key theme in your life. The hopeless romantic who's fearless of being hurt.
Fearless of being hurt. Like,
Right.
I'd rather cry for a week or 3 or a month and then just have a very good year versus not taking the chance. I always take a chance, and I always think I'm going to fall in love, which is a very silly way of living life.
Well, Right. And in theory, you'd experience, you're rolling the dice more, so you experience a higher number of successes despite the increased opportunity for rejection. Right? Is that you 100% full speed ahead, or are you ever more guarded in early dating?
No, I don't really guard my feelings at all, which is really dumb. No, I go full in. I always think that it's gonna work out. It's gonna be the love of my life. That's how I view the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
I always go into things thinking, this could be a long term thing. Which is very silly way to live because you cannot be long term with just everybody, right?
Well, so far, so good.
It
And
has worked out for me. No complaints, and it also helps that I'm not too ugly either. Like I don't think I'm Giselle Bundchen or whatever, super hot, but I think I have a little bit of a edge because I'm not too ugly, especially for lesbians, right? If we're talking about girls, it's not slim pickings for me for sure. Girls tend to like me.
that works out okay.
So far, it's been working out okay.
That's good. So now you also talk to your friends not just about your dating life, but theirs as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Marcella, other friends come to you for conversation and advice. Do you, when you see
I'm
others?
terrible giving advice. I usually just listen and just say, yeah, I think you should do what you think is best.
Well, that's one approach,
Yeah.
right? When you talk to others around you, perhaps people who are generally more dissatisfied with their own dating lives, do you see them being afraid to take those kind of risks that you do?
Yeah, I think people play it safe. They like what's comfortable, right? And sometimes if you put a little bit of work and excitement into it, that makes it all worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think people miss out on things because they're scared of getting heartbroken or they don't give themselves fully.
Right.
Right. That's
Yeah.
very important. And that's something that I do very well. So I can come off a little bit intense to some people. Like I was dating this German girl who was my rebound after a Philly girl. We got along fine. She was great. But she did tell me that things were too intense.
Right.
And I was
Right.
just being myself. I didn't think I was being too intense.
Well, and maybe it's not for everyone, right? Maybe, I mean, do you think that when you see other people hesitant to take the risks, do you think they could or should do the same? Or would they just be crushed by the inevitable rejection in games? Is there something about you that makes you more resilient?
I think it's the hopeless romantic side on me that makes me a little bit more resilient. Because most people are logical, right? They don't go in fully giving themselves, right? But I think that's part of my charm is that I fully just give myself right away. I always say I don't play games. I'm very easy. I'm a very easy girl. I was telling Marcella that yesterday. She was like, amigo, don't you play hard to get? I said, no, I'm very easy. No games. Like, I either want you or I don't want you. Like, no bullshit,
It's binary.
I think.
So is it possible you're more numbed or disconnected from the self-doubt or emotional entanglements?
I just don't, I think in my head, I just don't think things that way. I just think that this is what I should do. Because I'm very big on gut feeling. I took a personality test. I think I'm an ENTJ, something like that. But basically, what it said is that I make 100% of my decisions based on gut feeling. I look at nothing logical, and I never think anything through. I never think, oh, how is this going to work out? Like when I went to see Ice Princess, right? I mean, that's far away, another country. I'm visiting, Iceland. And, I mean, how, like, logical people would say, how can you sustain that? How are you going to go see this girl and then, you don't even live there? What happens if you like her? Then you're going to be heartbroken. And what I'm thinking the whole time is, fuck, I'm going to have a good weekend, Like, I'm not even thinking anything past the weekend or past my birthday. Like,
Right.
that this is, I have a hard time thinking things far ahead.
Well, and for your psychology nerds out there, in the Myers-Briggs test, the ENTJ stands for extrovert, intuitive, thinker, and also judgmental.
100% feelings.
Right.
Yeah, which is crazy. How can I make all of my decisions are 100% feeling? Even when we bought a house, me and the actress, like it was just a feeling. Although that was probably the best decision we made as a married couple.
Like we said, so far so good. Do you feel like there's room for more forward thinking in your life today?
I think what I want is to find somebody who really loves me and then just live an awesome love story. But I think I might be too much for some people. I don't know. And at the same time that I believe in love and all these stories, I also think that relationships don't last very long. It's kind of a weird dualism that I have.
As an absolute, relationships don't last long?
Yeah, I think that as an absolute. Then I see people like you know, who are so happy, been together for so long. That gives me hope. But yeah, usually I kind of think that things end. I don't know why.
Or maybe every relationship has ups and downs and it's becoming, developing a mastery of handling the downs that takes you to the next step in the next chapter.
Yeah, I would like to think that I can work things through. I just haven't met anybody that makes it worth it. I don't know. But I always have that in the back of my head. I was like, oh, it may not work out.
Fair enough.
It's not a good thing.
Fair enough. So this is sort of the same question, but everything comes with a balance or a cost. What's the downside for you? I mean, emotional highs come along with low moments of doubt or anxiety. So what triggers those for you?
Anxieties that I have about love.
In general, yeah. Not roadblocks with relationships, but roadblocks or moments of doubt for yourself.
I think moments of doubt come when I don't feel that the person is fully involved, right? If I feel that that person doesn't have my back, I start having doubts. I also start having doubts when there's no good sex involved. I'm a very sexual, healthy, I would like to think, person. Sex is very important to me in a relationship. To me, you cannot have a relationship and not have good sex. And I don't know that that's realistic. I don't think that you can always be attracted to the same person. I don't know if we were designed that way or not. That's something that I struggle with, to be totally honest.
Right.
And I don't know, how can you keep the fire alive for so long? Maybe you just become friends later. And maybe that's not something that I want. So maybe I kind of sabotage myself. I'm not really sure.
But don't you feel that at some point, I mean, it's the conventional wisdom that everybody settles down, and that if you don't, you've missed out on some deeper connection in life. I mean, do you ever feel that?
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that I'm missing out on the companionship and all the other safety and all the good things you get with long-lasting relationships.
Right. And you probably do a pretty good job of suppressing that or masking that a bit with the level of social involvement, the friends that you have.
Yes.
There are a lot.
Yeah, they're a lot. They're a lot, and they're a lot of fun, but they're a lot.
And so let's lighten it up a bit and focus on that. Wind the clock back even further.
Okay.
We've mentioned briefly Marcella.
Yes.
Our good friend, and you moved to Atlanta when?
So I came to Atlanta when I was 15 years old. Went to high school here. I met Marcella in 2007, I think, but we didn't become good friends until 2012 when I came back from Hawaii.
Right.
And that was a very good year for me. I was recently single. We were going to the pool all the time. Marcella was also single, so we were having, doing what we do, which is to get drunk and have fun and go to the pool and have all these crazy stories together.
Well, now, and you guys met the first time before Hawaii because you worked together.
Yeah, we worked together as a bartender at a Brazilian steakhouse. We were not the best friends, but we knew each other. But we became very good friends when I came back from Hawaii.
Got it.
Very close.
Now, you weren't still working together then, or did you go?
No, I think what I did is I babysat a little bit. It was a tough year because it was still recession.
You babysat Marcella?
No, I babysat some kids.
Oh, that would make sense, though.
But okay. I do babysit Marcella sometimes. She babysits me, too.
Right. So how would you describe Marcella in colorful, favorable terms.
Marcella, very strong personality, loving character, full of life, so happy. It's always good time to be around her. No judgment. You can be yourself, be whoever you are. Do shitty things when you're drunk and nobody cares. And she's very loyal because she's a Leo like me. So we value loyalty.
I see.
So we get along well because I think we share a sign. We're a couple days apart, our birthdays. I'm a little bit older than her, I think. I think I'm 3 years older than her. I'm not really sure. But yeah, but we get along great. She's a lot of fun, as you know.
Well, and you're each from different cities in Brazil, and so that was a bonding point, and obviously someone you could
Yeah, we were
speak
both from
Portuguese.
Brazil, somebody that I can speak Portuguese with, who understands my culture. She's from Rio. She's a lot of fun. I'm from Brasilia, right? So we get along. Like, it's always a fun, with her, it's always fun. Like, I love seeing her. It's just always a good time. And we recently went on a trip together to Cuba, which was great.
It looked like a good trip.
Yeah, but I didn't use Tinder there because, I was already liking.
They can't have Tinder in Cuba.
They do have it.
No way. That's
They do.
impossible.
I'll show you.
Tinder
But
particulares.
there's no internet, right? So it's like you're so. And honestly, you don't need Tinder in Cuba because everybody hits on you on the street. It's very old school there.
Right.
Very old school.
I would imagine.
Yeah, but we stay out of trouble that trip. It was mostly just fun, like drunk stuff.
Right.
Meeting people, talking to strangers. Like, I didn't hook up with anybody in Cuba.
So going back to when you first met Marcella, or maybe when you guys, met up, Marcella is quite a force of her own, right? So was there something you remember standing out, or one story where you first thought, man, this chick's ride or die, I'm hanging with her?
I think every time there's not a story that pops up, but I always knew that every time I hung out with Marcella, it was always fun, but we would be wasted and drunk and just being the worst out of ourselves. I mean, we spent all the Thanksgivings we spent together. We cooked and we never ate dinner because we were always too drunk to make it to dinner. So we eat leftover Thanksgiving food.
That's a good caricature of you guys.
Yeah.
Spending the day cooking and getting too drunk to eat it.
To eat it, yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah. So then you and I met. We met a couple years after that. Through.
Yeah, I think around 2012. I met Mariana through Marcella.
Yeah.
Mariana and Jonathan are married. So then I met Jonathan, and we got along great because we're both we partake on some extracurricular activities together that we enjoy. So we get along with that. So I guess I just found out now that I didn't know that. I knew that Jonathan was a good guitarist, but I didn't know that we jammed so good together, which is I kind of feel like I've been missing out.
And Andrea is a very decent drummer, which is really, really caught me off guard. I was very impressed, and we were vibing on some jams before. It was pretty
that's
good.
something I don't tell people, that I play instrument. I mean, I don't know why I don't.
I had no idea you play drums. You just sat down and you started jamming out. That was pretty
Growing
cool.
up in church, I learned how to play instruments.
Yeah, that's
That
awesome.
That was a good surprise. That song in the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, that was great.
So it's perfect.
Cool.
So I think we'll wrap up here in a moment, and I have some rapid fire questions for you.
Okay, let's go.
So what's the weirdest Tinder encounter you've had recently, either in person or just on the app?
So after I broke up with Philly Girl, I told you I went on 7 dates or something on Tinder. One of them was super weird because this girl, as soon as I met her, she told me, hey, I have never been with a girl before, which is a huge turn off for me. I don't like being with girls that haven't been with girls. I don't really want to be teaching anybody anything. I want them to be full-on slut mode by the time I meet them.
Well, it's a bit of liability being anyone's first at anything.
Yeah, so what was weird, it wasn't that she wasn't with the girl. What was weird is towards the end of the date, she's asking me, hey, but how do girls have sex? And then I was laughing. I was like, just like in porn, but more believable. And then she laughed, but she was like, but no, really, what do you do? And I was like, you want me to describe to you exactly like how people have sex? She's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. So I'm here describing to this girl how, how women fuck or whatever, and what different things you can do. Obviously, I knew the date wasn't going anywhere, but that was weird. I never had to describe to anybody, how you have sex.
So how about in terms of your dating conversations in the last week? How many people have you chatted with?
So I've been chatting solid with the Ice Princess. Because I really like when we went on the trip. I told you that I really like her. But I don't know. I'm having second thoughts. Not that I like her or I don't like her. Like I like her, but I don't know if she likes me. So I'm feeling maybe a little bit of
Well,
distance.
it's the inevitable cooling down of things, especially in anticipation of your next trip, right?
Yeah,
That's kind of where
and
those
I'm also
complications.
coming in like a week or something,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
at the same time that I feel that it's cold, it's also like it's right here,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've been talking to her, and I gave Marcella my phone yesterday. So she's been swiping on guys for me. So basically, I give her my phone. She gets on Tinder, and she's swiping, choosing the guys for me to go out with. But I haven't been on any date yet. So I wake up with people blasting me. Hey, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't even know who you are. My friend has been using my phone. I don't know who does that, but it's actually very good because then it's already said and done. I don't really have to do it.
Pre-screened for you.
Yeah. I think we can set something up later where you guys choose a country and then you do all the swiping and then I just go blindly on the state and see what happens.
That's not bad at all.
I think it's a good idea.
It's a pretty good idea. So I feel like you spend a lot of time typing with your thumbs in general.
Yeah.
You're a social animal with millennial leaning tendencies.
Yeah, I am an old millennial. I think I like
That's
to call
right.
myself that.
Well, you passed my not a millennial test yesterday too, so
Right.
I think you're not, but you're pretty close.
I'm not because I was raised in Brazil too. Technology takes forever to get there. Like I
Right.
didn't have a phone until I was 24 or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I was at the age when people called your house looking for you. Say, hey, I want to speak to Andrea, and your parents answer the phone and they give it to you. Hey, your friend's on the phone.
Indeed.
But yeah, a little bit of a millennial, but not really.
Yeah. So roughly including everyone, not just dating, how many messaging conversations do you guess you have on a daily basis?
I waste a lot of my time on WhatsApp. A lot. I mean, just on this group alone that I am with the Brazilians, right? And then talking to Ice Princess and how much time? I don't know. I would say that I send about maybe 100 messages a day. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot. I spend a good 2 hours of my day just talking to people.
At minimum.
And a lot of it's stupid. We're sending memes, and I'm like laughing so hard. I have to show you one where they say, "Hey, it's very funny. This girl, it says, hey, I don't feel this edible.' 2 hours later, and then the meme says, girl joins her own search party looking for herself." And I spend hours laughing at that because I think it's so funny.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Give a Joe Rogan shout out to the just the leg joke, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, and also because I could see myself being that person. Hey, what are you guys doing? And then all of a sudden they're looking for me. That I could see myself doing that.
Yeah. So here's another question for you. In a new relationship, when you're dating someone new, assuming all goes well, how long do you expect yourself to keep things casual or non-exclusive?
I keep casual until the word boyfriend or girlfriend is mentioned, right?
Until you mention it?
Sometimes I mention it. If
Really?
I'm very possessive over the person, I don't want to share. I'm like, hey, I think we should date exclusively, right? But sometimes other people mention. But up until you say, okay, we're in a serious dating, you're my girlfriend kind of relationship or boyfriend or whatever, then I just assume it's casual.
So I think it's interesting that you are a full-time thrill seeker in your dating, and you have a tendency to move on to the next thing, but at the same time, you lean towards getting jealous and territorial when you get to a certain point.
Yeah.
So I guess we can talk about it later, but interesting to understand where that line is drawn for you? What distinguishes a casual relationship from one you actually pursue with some exclusivity?
I think once I start liking the person, right, then I don't want to share it. I'm like, I want this all to myself.
Right.
That's when it starts. And it's usually early too, you know? Like Ice Princess was telling me about her exes, and then I told her, hey, I don't want to hear this. So I got jealous.
You make up your mind pretty quick.
Well, I'm like, I don't really want to talk about this.
All right, so here's some vanilla stuff. What are you reading recently?
Reading. I was reading Renee Brown, Vulnerability, or The Power of Vulnerability. I just finished that. Brene Brown, actually.
Okay.
She's a very good speaker. She had that TED Talk that she talks about shame. It's 15-minute long TED Talk. She's a great speaker. I really like her.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've been reading lately.
I'll check that out.
Power of Being Vulnerable, which I don't know if I need any more of that.
What band are you listening to the most right now?
I think I went back to my old ways, and I've been listening to Sublime. Old stoner ways. Yeah, I really like Sublime. And I've been listening to Lana Del Rey version of Sublime. I don't know if you heard it. It's pretty cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very sexy soundtrack. Definitely recommend it for lovemaking.
She's got that voice.
Yeah, she has that sex, like, I don't know. She has a vibe to her that's very sensual. That's right.
Sure. So, what new thing are you exploring right now in life?
I think I'm trying to explore myself right now, right? Get to know who I really am. Like, why do I do things the way I do? I'm trying to be more mindful of, like, why do I seek relationships so far away? And why do I get so involved so quickly? So I'm exploring that. We are playing around with the podcast now, which I really like. Wow, I really enjoy talking today. So those are some of the new things I've been doing. And finishing up my my degree, making my mom proud, finally.
There you go. There you
30, 15 years in college.
go. That's pretty good. That's
Yeah.
pretty good. Well, okay. So I think we made it through.
Cool.
Yeah.
This was fun.
Good job. That was a lot of fun.
Let's do it again.
It's very different. So we'll call it a wrap here, and hopefully
A wrap in Tinderland.
That's
and
right.
We'll reconvene again and catch up.
That's right.
And I'll keep doing my thing. Keep doing the Tinder thing.
Thank you, Andrea.
All right. Thank you.